Today's daf is Daf Tzadik Daled in Sanhedrin, Peirik Chelik, beautiful Peirik, all about Mashiach, and we're discussing right now the book Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, and we learned yesterday what happened to them post these major events, and Daniel, and actually his own opinion, Daniel was in the story of Esther, he was Hasach, and according to the Medrash, Haman put him to death, which means that Haman actually killed Daniel, according to that Medrash. So we are up to the Morid of Tzadik Daled Amar Aleph, and the pasuk is it's about 10 lines from the top of the page. Lemarbe hamisra v'leshalom ein ketz, to increase the authority and to peace there's no end. And the word lemarbe, interestingly, is the mem. There is a final mem, the shlosa mem. Now we know that the final mems, manspach amrum, are the end of the words, and not in the middle. Put over here, the mem is in the middle, the sealed mem. Says the Gemara, why? Amar Tanchum, daughters bar kapora b'tzepodi, bar kapora dashin and tzepodi. You know why? Ma kol mem shebem tzepodi. Every time you have a mem in the middle of a word, pasuach, it's always open. The zez sasam, and this one is sealed. Bikesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu lasas Chizkiah Mashiach. The Eibishter's intention was that Chizkiah was such a great tzaddik that he was earned to be Mashiach, and Sanhedrin will be the Gog Magog. We know we need a Gog Magog in the times of Mashiach, and Sanhedrin will do. Amra midas adin lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The midah of din came before Hashem, said Rebbeinu Shalom. David, who sang so many Tehillim, kapitel Tehillim, and sang songs like Asisa Mashiach. He did not make him Mashiach. Chizkiah that you made all of these miracles. Did not sing a song. Tasei Mashiach, to make him Mashiach. The kachnas datim. Therefore, the mem sealed, and he couldn't be Mashiach. So Rashi gives a few interpretations. What closed off, that this machshava, this thought of making Chizkiah didn't happen. It was supposed to happen, didn't happen. Or Hashem wanted to seal the end, the golus, and that didn't happen. Or the mouth of Chizkiah was closed. He didn't sing the tishbachas. It's difficult to understand if the generation was row for Mashiach. But let's say maybe David Melech's generation was not row for Mashiach, and Chizkiah's Melech is row for Mashiach. So it seems that you need actually two things. You need the generation to be row for Mashiach, and as we'll see more later, and we need that Mashiach should be row to be the Mashiach. And David was row to be Mashiach. Chizkiah was not. There's a machlekes when we say Chizkiah was row to be Mashiach. Are we talking about Chizkiah Mashiach ben David or Mashiach ben Yosef? We know there were two Mashiachs. Now, if it's Mashiach ben Yosef, how can there even be an opinion that Chizkiah was Mashiach ben Yosef and Chizkiah HaMelech came from David? Which proves that in order to be a Mashiach, you don't have to. Mashiach ben Yosef doesn't necessarily mean from the Shevet of Yosef, or maybe his mother's side came from Yosef. That's what that is, all right. That Chizkiah HaMelech came from Mashiach ben Yosef. Excuse me 1 second. Says the Gemara further. So what happened was, immediately the earth jumped in and said, I'll take the place. Miyad Pascha, the earth opened up. Let me sing for you. Let me sing instead. Tachat Tzadik in the place of the Tzadik was so Mashiach, and make him Mashiach. Pascha opened up and said, Shidul Lefanish. Remember, it says Miknafa Ardas, from the end of the earth. Zmida Shamanu. We heard all kinds of songs, and Tzvila Tzadik, desires for the Tzadik. And so the Sar of the world said to the Eibush, so the Boyin Tivyoine also the Tzaddik there. Why don't you do the desire for the Tzaddik? Bring Mashiach. Yotza Baska V'Amra Rosli. It's a secret from me. It's a secret from me. I cannot reveal. And then the pasuk continues. Amar Novi, the words Amar Novi not for the pasuk, but the next part of the pasuk, the Novi is responding to Hashem. Oily. No, Hashem, now that you refuse to reveal Mashiach, woe is to me. Ad Mosai. Rebbe used to always sing the words Ad Mosai. It comes from this pasuk. When the Novi says after Hashem decided not to reveal Mashiach, because Rosli, I have my secret, or Rosili. So the Nabi said, Oily, woe is to me. Ad Mosai. How much longer do we have to sit in Golus? Yatsa Basker V'Amra, Basker came out and said, Boigdim Bogodu, these traitors, they've betrayed me. Ubegid Boigdim Bogodu, and the traitors again betrayed me. What do you mean? You know, Mashiach will come, he says, when those who will come and plunder and pillage from the Eden, and then again, after whatever is left, will come a second time and do all that. Even though everyone says that we were Yetze Goyg and Mogog in spades after the Holocaust, and there's no reason to have any more of these tzaras. And the tzaras we're finding ourselves right now should come to an end. Take it from me out, mamish. Then the pasuk says, "Masa duma elai." It says in the pasuk that the Nevi'is of Masa Duma. We'll see who Duma is. A lie it calls to me, Messiah from Seir, Shomer, the special Shomer, Malila, Shomer, Malila. What's going on at night? What's going on at night? What's going on with Golos? Who is the Shomer? Who is this Duma? What's going on? Says the Gemara. Omar Rabbi Yechon says, Oisim Malach Hamamun ala Ruches, Duma Shmoi, that malach that is memuna on the neshamas, the name is Duma. Niskaptu kol ha'aruches eitzel Duma. All the neshamas came to Duma and Amaloi Shomer. They said Shomer, which is referring to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mama Laila, Shomer, Mama Laila. What's going on here with this Golus? What's going on with this Golus? Amar Shomer. So the Shomer said, don't worry, Asa Baike, Agula will be coming soon. The morning will come. But Gam Laila, first there has to be a darkness, but Im Tivayun, and if you people will then go ahead and you'll daven by you, and Shuvu also, if you come and do Tshuva, then the Geula will come sooner. So do I write, what was embarrassing regarding Chizkiyo and his entourage, they didn't sing, the earth had to sing instead. You know, after the 186,000 soldiers of Sanhedrin were destroyed, Chizkiah did not say thank you. It says, for the earth. Same thing by Yisrael. Baruch Hashem, thank Hashem that He saved you. Meaning, Tana, Shanapapias, Ginai, who Lemoshe, it was embarrassing for Moshe, but 60,000, they didn't say Baruch, Baruch Hashem, until Yisrael came and said Baruch Hashem. Now, it's a Pella, he didn't sang Oz Yashir. There's obviously different in Baruch Hashem and singing a song. So just saying thank Hashem, as the Baal Shem Tov used to say, "V'ata Kodesh Yoshev Tehillos," that the Eden, they're all Kodesh because they're constantly saying thank you to the Eibishter. Now it seems from here, what does it help us that Yisrael Baruch Hashem? In fact, they made it worse for the Eden. So the Gemara in Bracha says that if someone has to say Goimel, and someone else says to him, Baruch, thank God that He saved you, and you answer Amen, you're Yotze Goimel. So when Yisra came along and said Baruch Hashem, and he was directing it to the Eden, he said Baruch Hashem, and the Eden heard, and they listened, and said, and as if they said Amen, because the Rambam holds, even if you don't say Amen, if you just listen, you're ready Yotze. It's as if they all said Baruch Hashem. So that's the moment that they said Baruch Hashem. Vayichad Yisra, Vayichad. What does Vayichad mean? Trembled. What do you mean? There was an argument. He took a knife and he circumcised. He became a ger. Shmuel Amar, so that's when he became a ger, that moment. And Shmuel says, "Shenase chadudim kopsarei." He had goosebumps. He's listening to what happened to the fate of his mitzrim. And Omar Rav, so Rav says, "Hainu damish." People say, "Giyoira, a ger." He still has in the DNA some affiliation with his nations, and therefore don't in any way denigrate those nations before him. Till 10 generations. 10 generations are saying we have all over a mamza 10 generations, again 10 generations, and you shouldn't embarrass about Trubit. Well, everything it says is 10 generations. But interesting is that Rav, who argued with Shmuel and said it means he gave a bris, is now supporting Shmuel and saying this is the basis for the saying, as if they weren't really arguing. As a result, that others want to say it's not really Rav or somebody else. Talking about it further, therefore, the Adonai will send the mashman of Rosen. Now, what do you mean? Mashman means fat, and Rosen means lean. What does it mean, mashman of Rosen? Mashman is also 8, but in plural, 2 8s. Let Chizkiah has 8 names. And get rid of Sanhedrin who has 8 names. Chizkiah, the Chizkiah says, we had a child. And he had a lot of names. Vatia Misal Shipman have leadership on his shoulder. He called him Pella, Yoyet, Kale, Giber, Avi, Ad, Sar, Shalom. 8 different names. Says the Gemara, Yikishmai Pella, Yoyet, Chizkiyo, what's the name Chizkiyo itself? No, that wasn't his name. The Abishah gave him support. That he supported Eden, that they should all join, subjugate themselves to the Abishah. We'll see later in the Gemara what he did. Sanhedrin also had 8 names. It says Tiglas, Plaza, Planasa, Shamanasa, Pul, Sarnan, Asnaper, Rabba, Yakida. These are all his names. Remember, the name Sanhedrin itself. All of his talk was basically divisive. He spoke and he embarrassed. Against the Eibishter. Why was he to call him that he should be called Asnaper, Rabba, the great one, be a kid, and the precious one? He never spoke about against Eretz Yisrael. As it says in Posik, I am going to take you. Sanhedrin had a strategy. Whichever country he took over, he would send the people away. He said, I will take you away to a land which is similar to yours. So he didn't speak in any pejorative way about Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Shmuel, and in fact, there's an argument to Rabbi Shmuel. Sanhedrin was very cluey, very astute. He was a fool. Exact same machlekes we have regarding Achashverosh. That he was intelligent. He tells them, I'm going to give you a country that's better than yours. The Eden are so loyal and so patriotic that they believe Eretz Yisrael is the supreme land, that if you tell them there's another land that's better, they won't believe you. And they'll think that you're jesting or they're worse. You're lying. There was a fool. You're telling people I'm going to send a land equal to yours, so why leave this land? You want to encourage them that they want to leave. So you should have told them I'm sending to land that's superior. Which one asked, where did the 10 Shvatim actually end up going? They all end up in Africa. And with Rabbi Chanina in the mountain slagging, it's big machlek is whether these 10 Shvatim got lost and they all got lost, or that they're somewhere in Africa, in the dark continent, on the other side of Sambatrim we had in Sanhedrin Daf Samachay, that Sabat Yechir, where that river constantly is very, the rapids are very strong, except on Shabbos. Abel, and there's all kinds of stories about the sorry Regamalchus, or at least some of the Shvatim. We have Eldad Hadani, Eldad who claimed became a Shevet of Dan. We have the Akdamos written by one of the Rameir and one of the Regamalchus that he went there to help them. All kinds of different stories. Abel Yisrael, of the Eden themselves, they spoke about. They were very self-deprecating, and they were spoke in a pejorative way against Yisrael. We call Kimotu. So when they came to the city of Sois Amri or Shavia, this is equal to Yisrael. Kimotu came to the city of Alman, Amru Alman. They said, "What? This is even better." Kimotu Sois. They said today. They said, "Amri Al Train Al Chad Train." They said, "Oh, this is double. This is much better than Yisrael." But then it says, what happens to henchmen, but tachas kvoide beneath their honor, it was a big fire. Now, what's referring to their honor? Beneath honor, call his clothes. These are mechabed me. You want to know who a person is? You judge them generally by the kind of clothing they wear. They're well kempt, well put together. You put them thinking that they're a decent gentleman and refined. And if you see them look like a slump, that's the kind of impression you have. So clothes make a person. Rabbi Loza says, Tachas kvoid. So in other words, under the clothes, it means the bodies got burnt, everything got burnt. Only remained intact with the clothing. Rabbi Loza says, no, Tachas kvoid mamish. Kisefes bnei Aaron. It means no. It means under the body, the only thing that their neshamas was snuffed out, but they were still intact, just like another view. Malahal Sefer Neshama Gufkaim, Afkan Sefer Neshama Gufkaim. The Guf still existed. Tony be like Bashmei. Rabbi Shimon Korcha, Pari, who spoke derogatory about the Eibishter directly, the Eibishter punished him directly. And Pari didn't use a shliach, and therefore the Eibishter also punished him directly. And therefore it's not so embarrassing, the Eibishter directly punished him. As Rashi says, you cannot compare somebody who's embarrassed by a very important person and versus a very low person. In a way, from a certain angle and a perspective, from a very low person is much worse. It's so embarrassing that even this person can shame you. Sanhedrin that was embarrassed through a shliach. Reveshka is nifra. He was also punished through a shliach. Part to see by Kimi Hashem and Ashmaga, who's Hashem should listen to Nifra Borgman as if punish directly to see by Yana Hashem Simon the Hayam, David himself tossed around the Mitzrayim in the Yam. It says that you drove the water on the horse. Sanhedrin, so it was not directed by Hashem. Sanhedrin, the Chsiv, it says, "B'yad malochecha cherpas Hashem." But by Sanhedrin, it says, in the hand of his shluchim, they tried to antagonize Hashem. Is nifla kodesh baruch hu desh l'shir. It says, "Yitzam malach Hashem yakum machna Asher meish shmona chamisha elef." That a malach Hashem came out and destroyed in the camp of Asher 185,000 students. Rabbi Chanina has a question. See, in one pasuk it says, "Meiroim." Kitza, in one passage it says, because the story is told a few places in Tanakh. In one place it says that from Meraim that's what will conquer. In another place it says Malain Kitza, that will end with Malain his residence. First, I destroyed the base of Mikdash, the physical, and down here. And then he got so conceited, so full of hubris. I'll destroy the base of Mikdash above. Without Hashem, I will come, I'll arise to this place, to destroy it. Hashem told me, Hashem told me to go to Israel and destroy it. So what do you want from me? Mahi the Shama, Mahi. Where did Hashem ever tell Sanhedrin to destroy Israel? So the Shama over here, the Novi Dukama said, Yanki Mosam Azaz Meir Shaleach, because the people here was Memayis. They held in very low this esteem. The Meir Shaleach, the water that travels through the base of Migdash, Haholchim let go slowly. Umesois Es Ratzin. On the hand, they elevated Ratzin and Ben Remalia, pick up Ben Remalia. These two people, they wanted to take over the Jewish kingdom. If not the translation of this pasuk in Targum, we have no idea what this pasuk is talking about. What happened was Cholaf the Ketz Amma. It seems that the people themselves, they were Memayis. They held in disdain the Beis Hamikdash, the Malchus of the Beis David, and the kingdom of David, and they elected the Benabelahim Benayach, and David spoke to them calmly, B'Meishel Musa, peaceful way. The Nagadim Benayach that flows calmly. Visriyu, and they'd rather chose Beratzin Ubaramalia. They wanted those two people. That's what they wanted. So therefore, because they're the ones who wanted that, that's why they're going to be punished. So the Gemara. It says in Pasuk that Me'edas Hashem, the base Russia, that the curse of the Abish is in the house of Russia, the Veit Tzadikim Yivarech in the home of a Tzadik will be benched. Me'edas Hashem base Russia is that Pikar Ben Amalyo. What was the curse by Pikar Ben Amalyo? Shahaya Eichel Memsa guys was Bekinuch, so that he would eat 40 chickens just for dessert, for dessert, and he still wasn't full. We actually have in Mariyuma, there was one Kohen Gadol that he used to eat Shem Shemayim. He used to eat for dessert, also 40 birds. Unaveit Tzadikim, and the house of Tzadikim, Ben, only had a liter of vegetables and meal, and even that was too much. Therefore, Hashem, I'll bring upon them these strong waters. Es Melech Ashur, the king of Ashur. Uksiv, and it says in the pasuk, and it'll pass by Yehuda, Shatav, strong rapids, and reach to their neck. So therefore, Sanhedrin understood that it's his job to go ahead and punish the Eden. So why did he get punished? Navi says Shvatim is Navi. The Navi was reprimanding the 10 Shvatim, but he wanted everything, including Yerushalayim, but that's why he got punished. But Navi came along. Navi said, no. You will not in any way be victorious over Lashem Mutzakla. You will not be victorious at all over Asher Mutzakla. To one that you're oppressing. In other words, you're trying to take Chizkiah, you'll not be able to conquer him. And we touched the pasuk, a nation that works so hard on learning Torah will not be given over. Biyad mi hametzek will not be given over in the hands of somebody who's oppressing, which is like him, what's the pshat in the pasuk? It says Be'ezidishan Hekel Arts in the beginning. Hekel Arts is Vuln Arts in Naphtali, and the land of Naphtali. Va'achrein Hichbid Derechayam, and the Achron, but the next time he basically was punished. Derech Hayam by the sea. No, this is how Sanhedrin slowly but surely took over. First, he took over the land of Zvulun, the land of Tali, and then he took over other countries, and eventually Eved Yarden and Galil Hagoyim. So he says it means not like the first ones that he's trying to get to Shalim. He's not going to make it. The first ones, they weren't learning Torah, so therefore he was successful. Trying to get to Shalim, there they worked very hard to learn Torah. That they are such big tzaddikim in Yerushalayim and Yehuda, that they deserve a nest like Kriyas Yamsuf and the Kriya of the Yarden, so nothing's going to happen to them. If Khan Cheder changes my mutter, he'll be successful. If not, and he has I am going to make him the laughing stock of all the nations. So Achred, one of them said, he sat there by the 45 cities, and he said, my love, and I'm going to break the walls. Says the Gemara, Hi Yidishna Lahai Padashna. So this is the schar for Hai Padashna for this officer. Achid one of them is the Gemara says, what do you mean after these words were emes? Hashem jumped in and swore. If I would tell Cheskia, if I would tell Cheskia, I'm going to bring Sanchedev. You're going to win. You go to war, you'll win. He's not going to be happy. I would say, I don't need to win the war, and don't scare me. Yaakov just jumped in. The jumped in. He said, "I will bring him. I will bring him to Shalayim." Hashem swore, the way I intended, that's how it's going to be. The kasha yatzdi, he took him, and whatever my eight is, that's what's going to happen. Lishboin Asher, we're going to break Asher, but I wanted to come to Shalayim so we can break him. And the Vyasa of us, and we'll break him all the way. And we're going to step on him. And the attack came that day, that his yoke will be taken off your shoulder, and your yoke taken off of, I guess, your neck. And we will take it off from the oil. What does that mean? That why was taken off the yoke from Sanhedrin, the oil of Chizkiyahu. What oil? So you doilig the butter, can see us about the midrashas. All the shuls sat up, learned all the time, and the oil candles are burning. Ma also, what did he do? What did Chizkiyahu? No, it's Cherev al Pesach. He put a sword in front of his medrash. Rama kol mi she'no with Torah. Anybody who does not learn Torah, yitkir b'cherev. He should be stabbed with this sword. And why in front of the base of Medrash? We learned a few days ago you're not allowed to bring any weapons into the base of Medrash. So you left it outside of the base of Medrash. But they checked Medon V'ad Be'er they checked from Don to Be'er. That's the story we had before with Pinchas and Zimri. They couldn't find any simpleton, ignoramus, megibas v'adantipras. They couldn't find any simpletons. And they didn't find a man or woman, a child, boy or girl, or a man or woman. And the Sefer Chassidim says from here's a raya that girls should learn Torah as well. Because it says right here that there's no boy or girl, man or woman, that were in the baki and halachas of Tumah Tara. And Tumah Tara are very intricate laws. In fact, whenever we learn any sugi in Tumah Tara, we sort of gloss over it. Regarding Chizkiyahu, it says, that it says at that time will be people there that have eggless bucker calves, shteitzoin, and 2 sheep. And says, will have 1,000 vineyards, like 1,000 pieces of kesef, and afal pi she'elav gefen kesef lashami v'lashas here. Nevertheless, it all went up and it was ruined. Why? Because they're so busy learning Torah they didn't even take care of their gashmias. The reason why it says in Med, the reason why Chizkiah was so adamant that everybody should learn Torah is because his father Achaz was exactly the opposite. He closed every yeshiva down. He closed down every base of medrash. And in fact, the word Achaz is sealing. He closed, and he didn't let any Torah to be studied because he said a rule: Im ein ktanim ein gedolim. If we stop the kids learning Torah, there'll never be any leaders. Im ein tiyashim ein gedim. If we stop them when they're young, they'll never be. So we give up on the older people. Let them enjoy themselves. It's the young ones that we have to get. In fact, that's what Pari said. Me even be a helchim. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, "B'noreinu is konenu." He says, "Not only are young, they're going to be in the they'll be the vanguards. They'll be in the forefront because the goyim realize if you want to destroy the Eden, you have to hurt the education. If you start in the young, and that's what Ochaz did. And therefore Chizkiah went the other way around, and he had tinaik with tinaikas. He went after from the young that they should have a tremendous chinuch, and they should be learning Torah." Says the Gemara further. And talking about still continue about Sanhedrin and Usav Shlalchem Oisef Chasil, he gathered together all the plunder like a plunder by locust. What does that mean? Amlem Navi Yisrael, those that eat in the Shalachem gathered together the plunder. Amru loy levadas or lechalet. Should we sort of each one does their own plunder, or do we have to divide it equally? So Amalek said to them, just like when it comes to the locusts, you think they share it? Each one takes their own. So to your plunder, each one takes whatever you get. How can we steal from Sanhedrin this Yiddish geld there as well? Because he plundered from the 10 Shvatim. So he said to them, like just like you may measure gam, looks like when there's rapids and there's strong water. But is shaky boy. So all the little pools of water, all the little ponds of water goes with it, joins with it. Is magam alol mailin? It's all the tumatara. So we go to mikveh, takes out from tumatara. After money, so keep it on comes Torah, and the Shach and Chesh Mishnah brings a whole discussion. So if a goy steals from a yid, can a yid then buy it from the goy? Do we automatically assume he was Yish, just like over here, and quote from the Gemara here, we see that they were able to take from Sanhedrin, even though Sanhedrin stole from the Aseres HaShvatim, because he went through the Goyish hand, became mutter. Others argue and say that this is to do with a war, and the laws of war are, the laws of engagement are that whatever you conquer becomes yours. So maybe that's different than an ordinary case of a guy, unless we know for sure the Yid was Meyayish. And there's a different also metalpulin and karka. We had the whole Gemara Gittin Sikrikan. What happens when goyim take forcibly land from Eden? This is just like a puppet. A puppet, You're not allowed to conquer land from Amun and Moy, but once Sichon conquered that land, the Eden will be able to conquer it from Sichon. That he Sanchedev then traveled 10 places in one day. It says Bo al Ayis, and these are names of places. He came to Ayis, and then over Sigron, then he crossed over Sigron, and then the Michmash Yavkid Caleb. Then he places Caleb Michmash. It's very 3 places. Over Mabra, they crossed Mabra, Gova, Molin Lonu, then they slept in a place called in their home. They resided in Gova. Then Chardra, Haramba, then the Rama began to shake, and Givash Shol Gosag, and Givash Shol, they ran away. Tzali Koilech, your voice was crying out. Bas Galim, Hakshiv, listen, Elisha, Aniya Anoses, the poor people from Anoses, nor the Medamna sort of not slowly walked away. Yoshve Hagavim Heizu, the people little Gavim they had they gathered together, and Oida Yom B'Noiv Lamed, and one day Noiv they will stand up. Is Yanuf of Yode Har Ba'asi give us Yerushalayim, and he shaked his hand or he waved his hand towards Yerushalayim. So the Chayda, there's 12 places. If anymore is not where you said 10, honey, 2 there's 12. So what Tzali Koilach Bas Galim, that Tzali Koilach and Bas Galim, Navi the Karmelech Metzor. That the Navi was saying to the Yidden that they did not the name of particular places. Tzali Koilach Bas Galim, that they will scream out Bas Galim, who is the Bas Galim, who is the daughters that are going to scream out, Bitay Shal Avram, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, that the daughters of Avram, Yitzchak v'Yaakov will cry out, She'osu mitzvahs begale hayam. They did all kinds of mitzvahs begale hayam. by the just like the galim of the yam, they did mitzvah. They did mitzvah as well. Interesting. We call Bita Shavram. Do you mean literally Bita Shavram Yisrael Yaakov, or we mean Klal Yisrael generally, and we're referring to them as Bita Shavram Yisrael Yaakov? Because really, Bita Shavram Yisrael Yaakov is only one girl that we know of, Dina. No one else. Hakshiva, that's unfortunately the Torah. Medrash says there were others. Hakshiva, Elisha, listen to me, Elisha. Don't be scared of Sanhedrin. If she's more scared of Nebuchadnezzar, the muscle ka'aya is compared to a lion. So it says, let the lion rise from all those bushes. So, so we see that Galim and Laish are not places. So therefore, we no longer have so many places as we thought. My anianos written afterwards means something else as well. Means osid yimir ben chikyo v'snabi, that anosis is actually referring to Yimir ben Chikyo, who came from anosis. Umesnabe alom anosis, and he's going to say nevius regarding the Chumash Mikdash from anosis. The Chsiv says Diri Yimir Chikyo ben Akoinim Asher b'anosis. Be'eretz b'yamin land b'yamin meet dummy. So how can you say that Sanhedrin is called a lion? Hasam Ari Hachalaish. Where Sanhedrin is compared to a lion, an Arya. Here in the pasuk, you use the word laish. Shisha, Shemish, yes, Ladi. 6 different terms, nouns for an Ari. And Elohein, Ari, Kafir, Lovi, Laish, Chil, Shechetz. They're all different names for a line. So Gemara concludes, if so, Botzele, that you no longer have even 10 things, because you took away a few. So we answer, Avru Mabra Tatinu. Avru Mabra, you counted crossing Mabra as one. It's actually 2. We'll stop over here, and we'll continue. This is Friday's Gemara. We'll continue it tomorrow. Okay, be well.